So that's happening, in my mind, and you're visualizing yourself in that space, and then physiologically you have these other elements. So um I can, yeah, like the first bit of it, I just remember like struggling so much. And I had this moment where I was like, okay, well, if this is how I'm gonna die, which sounds so dramatic, but when you're in the throes of a panic attack, like that is, you have this impending sense of doom that is so strong. You like, there's no rationality to it.
Hmm.
So in that moment, I just remember thinking, I can't do anything to change this. So I'm just gonna go with it and see where it can take me.
Hmm.
So once you kind of flip that switch, then it became like another experience. So then I'm kind of like soaring through wherever this space is. And um I had always dealt, even like in younger years, with a feeling of like being stuck. um being stuck and like not really knowing where I belonged. Those were kind of like these two, just very
Hmm.
general. I have no like, I had a very good childhood and very happy memories, but those were just kind of these underlying things that like were buried somewhere in there that I never really even like allowed to come to the surface. So that definitely came up during my little flight of wherever I was going. And I also, something that it kind of happened mid session. So if you remember, there was another energy worker from Canada, and she was positioned like um, perpendicular to me at my feet. So from what I remember, when I was in like the deepest throes of kind of that, tunnel space where I was,
Hmm.
she grabbed onto my ankle. And so again, you're like aware of it, but we didn't like communicate or anything. So then I'm in that space, that dark, kind of pit. And again, I just felt like, okay, I'm just gonna be here and like sit here for a bit. And then eventually I can remember from there, the coming out of that was just, that was probably like to this day one of the most um, peaceful moments of my life.
Hmm.
So it's, you like start to kind of come back to the present environment. And I just remember I felt, I transitioned from this like really dark place to feeling really warm, like that good warm, that like sun on you warm. It probably helped
Hmm.
that we were in Hawaii, but
Yeah.
um and then I just remember rolling onto my side, and I wasn't aware of crying, but once I rolled onto my side, I just can remember like a tear rolling down, and I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
this is like an emotional experience."
Yeah.
But in that moment, it was like those two extremes of like trying to resist something so hard at the beginning, and then deciding to let go, and then coming to that place of like feeling just total, kind of what I would equate to that like peace that comes with surrender,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. So
Yeah. Oh, you did. I remember your session like it was yesterday. You did so amazing, and you were so brave and just open enough to, because I can totally relate. Before I did my very first breathwork session, I was like, my birth, I don't need to know anything about my birth. My birth has nothing to do with anything, right?
yep.
And I was very skeptical. But like on Instagram right now, I'm releasing this whole like 2-month birth series. And
Hmm.
I want to take people back to their conception womb experience and their first touch or first experience of support. So that's why I wanted us to do this video, was because I wanted people to hear your story. And I remember in your session, you instantly went in, like it's like there was that look on your face, and it was like this trapped anxiety. It just,
Hmm.
you just dove right into it. You just started breathing for a few minutes, and it was so powerful to see. And so for those of you who are watching right now, with her birth, she, something was going on, right? And none of this work is to blame our moms or dads or anything. They're doing the
Hmm.
best they can with what they have, with what they know. But this birth series is to help people release that, like, I don't feel safe, I got to get out of here, that
Hmm.
really deep rooted anxiety or fight or flight, you know and that's why I'm so grateful for you sharing your birth experience, because so let me think. For example, you at first were trying to come out, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I got it, it's time to come out. And
Yep.
this was like your time, and you were deciding it's time to come out, and then they stitched your mom up, and then you're, why can't, then it gets dark. I mean, with what you were just sharing, you're pretty much explaining your whole birth
Mm-hmm.
experience. And then you try to come out again at 7 months, was it? um
Yeah.
yeah. And
27 weeks. So yeah.
yeah, so what that can what that can do as a pattern as we get older is, when we try to come out and take that job or start a new relationship or whatever, like, you have your vision or your goals, and then how the birth trauma can affect you later on, even through your childhood, but especially like right now, it's just, um it just feels like a trap, or I can't get if I start, then the fear comes up
Mm-hmm.
automatically. It's like a programming in the brain. And then, or we might attract people holding us back, or um, it feels like we can't break through that wall. And so it was so beautiful watching you break through it and come to the other side. And I forgot you were a C-section. So you were what they consider an emergency C-section, or maybe you were planned. Were you?
Mm-mm. It was
No.
emergency.
Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm a C-section. So I
Yeah.
can go into, I could talk for days about the patterns that we have. And
Yeah.
our deepest thought as a C-section is that we can't do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
so deep, or I can't get what I want, or I can't have what I want when I want it. It's just like, so, I've been doing this for almost 14 years, and I still to this day am working through when my mind says I can't do it. And I'm like, okay, that's not true. I can totally do this. So maybe I take a few deep breaths, or I give myself a few days to just, because we don't know what it's like to go through the birth canal.
Right.
So we don't know what it's like to go through it. And so we're kind of like at the end result. We're like,
Mm-hmm.
we can see like our future selves just fine, but it's like, I gotta get through this to get to there. I don't know. That's what happens to me. So it's like a
Yep.
practice, it's like a meditation almost. But let's see what else. Yeah, so I love that you got through that like barrier. And so what I wanted to know was, since that session, because I remember at the end of the session you shared that, getting through it. And so you shared something about, what did you say at the end?
It was
Just
something.
like when that anxiety arrives, it's okay to just, you said something really beautiful about that when something comes up, I can go through it and get to the, like, it
Right.
doesn't mean anything bad's going to happen. I can,
Yeah.
so I wanted to know if there's been any changes since you did that one session 5 years ago, or if you notice your patterns, and if anything lifted from that.
Yeah, so that probably was like the first. I mean, that was a catalyst to, I like really dove in the last 4 years into a lot of this. I mean, multiple levels of looking at, patterns from our past. That kind of really just sparked in me an interest of like, wow, we do carry kind of some weight and energy from our birth experience and then through
Mhm.
childhood, and then how that kind of manifests throughout. Um, so that again, like, did that session, alleviate my anxiety? No, but it really empowered me to, that was probably the, like, in terms of a physical manifestation of anxiety, like going in through the session, that was intense. And so I kind of had that moment of like, no, like, don't fight it. It's trying to teach you something. If you just kind of let your guard down and it's, roll with it, flow with it,
Mhm.
breathe your way through it, face it, then you'll always come out on the other side. Like,
Mhm.
it wasn't that block that had been there for me for so long. Was I saw a way, like you were kind of explaining, I saw finally for the first time, like, saw a way through it,
Yeah.
which was really nice. So it was really interesting too. And that, just kind of a sidebar, because of um because I was born premature, I then later on, I think I was 8 at the time, I went through a study at our local children's hospital that was comparing like developmentally premature children with, you know, full term gestational children. So
Really?
this year I pulled up, there was a neuropsych report as part of that. And so it kind of just delved into some of my like patterns or behaviors as a then, you know, an 8-year old. And a lot of it was some of the commentary, you know, from that was I didn't express my needs. I never wanted to be a burden.
Right.
So, like, reading that then, like, you know, 8 years after birth and kind of tying in, you know, birth experience to then this as a child, and now looking back, like, through my teens, 20s, I'm 36 now, so it was just like, wow, these patterns are there. Um,
Yeah.
you know, it was yeah, it was that was kind of like a cool thing to be able to have access to, so
That's so amazing. I'm after this, I'll email you. I've got this list of incubator births, or
mhm,
preemie incubator and the C-section one, and I'll send it
mm,
to you. And it similar to that. Um, Premature, it's like they don't want to step on the toes of others, so that's what
yes,
keeps them from speaking up.
yep,
It's like, you know, you're trying to come into this world, and then it's like it wasn't the right time, or maybe they were trying to protect you and keep you safe until you grew bigger, and they have this
mhm,
really deep premature, they have these deep thoughts that they're small and insignificant and they don't matter,
yep,
and there's a separation anxiety because they had to be away from the mom and dad. I mean, it
mhm.
goes so deep, so I don't want to like spin you out right now, but
No, that's a lot of what I've delved into though, looking at like, you know, anxious attachment styles and
yeah.
um even like going into the Enneagram, some of that, like, you know, different layers there. So it's just been fascinating. It really just sparked kind of a journey for me that I didn't see myself, you know,
Yeah.
going on, which is that is what I'm just like super grateful for that because
Yeah.
it's been a really cool experience. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I love trying to find like tools to help me why I do things the way I do, or like what
Hmm.
holds me back. I just want to get better and stronger. And so I just love going through this, and I love hearing people's stories and how they're doing now. And you know, so that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um
Well, thank you.
yeah, yeah. I think, is
Mhm.
there anything else before we close? I think we got everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like we covered all the
Yeah,
dynamics. So
awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today, and all my love to you on the East Coast.
yeah, it's right back at you.
Okay, thanks, beautiful.
Sending love and yeah, thank you for everything. And hopefully, if this can just help somebody take that first step, then you know, I feel happy to do so.
Yes, of course. Thank you. I'm sure everyone will appreciate your story. Thank you so much.
All right.